hey ya yo, 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 hawe ya, hawa ya ne, ho ya ne, hawe ya, hawa ya ne, ho ya ne, we. Yaho ganewa hoyane, Yaho ganewa hoyane, Yaho ganewa hoyane, Yaho ganewa hoyane, we ha, he anu hawe. Hey anu hawe, hey anu hawe, hey anu hawe, yanu hawe, hey yo ho, hey anu hawe, hey anu hawe, yanu hawe, hey yo ho. Way ha, hey no hey ya, no ya hey, 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 hey no hey ya. No ya hey, hey no hey ya, no ya hey, hey no hey ya, no ya hey, we ha, we ya na, we ya na, we ya na, we ya na, oh ya ne, we ya na, we ya na. Way ya na, oh ya ne, way ha, yo ho he ho, 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 e do ga ho ne, ho yo.
Osio, Chalugi, hello and welcome. This is Mashu Whitefeather broadcasting to you tonight from Indigenous Voice Radio. I'd like to mention before I introduce my co-host and the other guest is that the lead-in song is Cherokee. It's a Cherokee welcoming song or greeting song, and it's by Bo Taylor from his album Rebuilding the Fire. I would like to introduce my co-host, Doreen Bennett.
Kia ora koutou katoa, and hello to everyone out there today. And kia ora koe, and to you also, Mashu.
Kia ora. Our guest tonight is Charles Twodog. He is Cherokee and Mohawk, residing in Kentucky. Osio Twodog.
Osio, nice to be here. Dohichu, how are you? And it's been an honor for me.
Osta, skiing. Thank you. Twodogs is my cousin. And he is the host of a show called Welcome to the Heart Drum on Wolf Spirit Radio. Tonight, we're also supposed to have his co-host and producer, Tracy Kennedy, who is Mohawk from Six Nation Reservation in Canada, but she hasn't arrived on air yet. So, Twodogs, we're just going to bombard you with everything tonight. How does that sound?
Well, let the bombs fly where they might.
Well, I'd like to say that Doreen and I started to come on Blog Talk Radio a couple of years ago with Twodogs and Tracy on their show, Welcome to the Heart Drum, and we still are frequent guests there. And we started out when I toured New Zealand and met up with Doreen over there. starting to do what we call the roving reporters. And every place we went covering the Maori people's rights and issues and events over there for 3 months. And so this has just made the bond even stronger between the four of us. And so I felt it only appropriate, as did Doreen, that we have Tracy and Twodog on as our very first guest on the Indigenous People's Voice.
That's right, Mashu. Twodog, it was a privilege for us over here in Aotearoa, New Zealand, to be a part of Welcome to the Heartland. I know people here still talk about it. So thank you for that. And it is, as Mashu said, it's an honour for us to have both you and Tracy on here on our show.
Well, Doreen, it was my honor, my privilege, and I can speak this also for Tracy. When Mashu went over to Aotearoa, he actually was one of the first advocates for Idle No More that we have been talking about on TotalIslandNews.info and the Heart Drum. And we did 3 months of good shows from Aotearoa with a lot of good Maori people, a lot of good young people, and we just had a blast doing it, Doreen, truthfully.
Yeah, thanks, Jerry. But it was, and you're right, a lot of young people. We did interview quite a few young people. Because at the moment over here, our young people are still, they're movers and shakers over here. So I know they all wanted to talk.
Well, we do a lot of for Indigenous people all the way around the world. We do with the Maori, we've done with the Anishinaabe, the Mohawk, the Cherokee, and many people. But it just goes to prove that Mitakuasi, we OS, and which is the Lakota word meaning we're all related. That it proves it every day, doesn't it?
And your programs, Twodog, really covers a lot of the issues that are facing Indian country today here on Turtle Island, but it also engulfs what's going on with other Indigenous peoples around the world. And that's an excellent format for today, because the news that affects us in Indian country never seems to hit mainstream media. And especially the things that are going on with things like Idle No More, and with the fracking and the tar sands and the mistreatment of our Indigenous women, the kidnapping of our women and children that is going on today, and even touching on the problems in other countries with the Indigenous people there. And these are some of the issues that we want to cover with our show as well. So, it's a voice for all Indigenous people. So,
well, one thing I can cover with Mashu is this. Within the last several months, from last year into this year, there's been over 740 Lakota kids go missing, from my understanding. There's also been a thing called the RCMP, which has been raping Indigenous women out of Canada, plus you name it, plus a Cherokee kid that, got adopted away from her father. But none of this is reported. Mm-hmm. None of this is reported on mainstream media. It's reported like stations like what you guys are doing and what me and Tracy Kennedy have been doing on Turtle Island News.
The Cherokee child, she's referred to as Baby Veronica. Her name is Veronica Brown, and it was an illegal adoption from the Cherokee Nation in Oklahoma to the state of, was it South Carolina, I think.
South Carolina, yeah.
And I know that we have been really putting a lot of posts on Facebook, and I know I have because I'm very much on to indigenous rights and all of that. And what it's done so far, it has brought this to the attention of government authorities, which are on our reservations, and now there's a big push to rectify all of these illegal adoptions, and they're doing investigations into them now. So there is good that is coming out of this, and hopefully we can stop this.
Well, it needs to be, what they're trying to say about baby Veronica is that she's Cherokee, plus she's also an American citizen. So that put an extra, what can I say, BS on it.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about it.
Yes.
So, and then you have issues like Naomi White Crow, Naomi White Crow, who was beat to death by her foster mother, and they gave her a $5,000 fine. She'd go home. You have things like that I have not that me and other associates of mine have not let go of, and we're not going to let go of till that baby gets justice.
Right. And right now it shows like ours, and then for those of us that do put all of the news, be it good or bad, on our Facebooks, that is the way that we're getting the word out to people, because as I said before, the mainstream news media does not cover this, and especially when it comes to like Idle No More. When I came back from New Zealand, I expected to see some of our flash mob round dances and things like this, and I was basically astonished that the native people that I talked to hadn't heard anything about the whole movement. And
well, I can tell you this, Mashu. We were involved. Pardon me for busting in on you like that. I do apologize.
No problem.
The situation, Mashu, is throughout Tennessee there were a whole lot of flash mob round dances that we were involved in, and and we kept that going throughout the spring, summer, all on through it, pretty much.
That's real good. I'd like to let you people know that we do have call-ins if you have questions, and if you would like to call in with questions during our program this evening, the number is area code 718-506-1564. The number again is 718-506-1564. We'll be happy to take your call at any time. Doreen?
Yes, well, I'm just thinking, because although we do want to highlight and talk about the issues that are affecting Indigenous people, the other thing I think we also want to highlight is just the educational part, which Mashu and I have been working on.
Exactly.
Learning our traditional values, practices, ceremonies, language, because these we still believe are important for our well-being as an individual, as part of a family, part of a clan, and the wider tribe. So that's an area that we are working on. So we're over here in Aotearoa, we've designed programs for men and for women, presentations. Carl Hutchby and I will be delivering in the prison, might be next weekend. And that's just to try and get our people out of the prisons and stay out, reduce crime. So all of that education, that comes under education. We need to restore some of those traditions back, into our people's heads.
I think that needs to be done with all people. This is also part of our format for this show. Not only talking about what the issues are, but maybe to help to bring more of a unification amongst our indigenous tribes here on Turtle Island and basically around the world, and help maybe find solutions, amongst ourselves where we can, overcome these. And one of the best solutions that Doreen and I have been working on is through our organization, Two Feathers International Consultancy. And that's what Doreen has been kind of touching on here, where we can work with any indigenous group around the world and work on the decolonization programs and help our indigenous people who may be out of touch or who feel that they don't belong in their community realize who they are and their importance as an individual and as an indigenous person. And then it stems up from there where hopefully it will light that spark to get more involved in tradition and ceremony, culture, and language.
Yes, that's exactly it. And the other thing that we talk about and that we've written about is the stories and some of the traditions that we've documented and written. These are stories from our ancestors. They're not our stories, they're their stories. All we're doing is bringing them forward again because they're still relevant. And these are stories that should be shared on how we did things, why we did things, our spiritual beliefs, because it's all linked. And it does link to all the issues that are happening today. For many Indigenous people, I'm sure, we see the earth as Earth Mother. We see the sky as our Sky Father. In our culture, that's definitely what happens. And I know, Mashu, you talk about it that way as well.
Yes, it's very much the same. I think every tribe here on Turtle Island has, and Turtle Island is the real name for the North American continent, amongst all indigenous peoples. Here are tribes. Every tribe has its own culture and has its own language, and we have things that are alike and similar amongst all tribes, but we have even greater differences. But even with all that taken into account, we all have the same basic belief that we are all connected to our Earth Mother, and that's the one line of truth that goes through all of us. Our stories of creation may vary from tribe to tribe a bit, but then again, the one line of truth is that we came from no place else. And in that, that's even being backed by science the more that they keep discovering. So we have a lot of things that are similar, and this is something that we can build on for the unity of all of our people, because nothing's really going to happen for Indigenous Americans here until our people learn to get along and to unite, be it for whatever cause. This is one thing that we have to learn to do, and we have to be untaught in order to do that, because we have had approximately 600 years of European migration, of divide and conquer theory of genocide that our people have to work through. And there's various ways that we can do that, and so hopefully we can bring some of this to light in a very positive way, and maybe we can see our people start to make a really big change here in today's world. What are your thoughts on that, Twodog?
Basically, what I've been trying to do for going on 52 years is I'm talking about that we should respect each nation's culture, spirituality, each way of tradition of each nation, because we can sit down and talk now amongst ourselves and to help with whatever is happening on each and other nations. If there's a drug, alcohol problem, we can come in and help other culture, other parts of culture, just whatever can happen for their children, because, there's the next generation. Now, to help. Our elders are waiting to help our children. Anyway, we're waiting. As far as, all nations, it's time we can set now. And it's now, for us to come together. And that's how I see that. Which we do quite a bit. We're doing quite a bit of that through the Heart Drum as well. We're hoping to continue that.
Yes, I think you and Tracy do a really good job. I think for the unity to be really effective, and you've really been doing a good job in bringing the issues out, talking about them, and working for intertribal unity. But I think our people have to learn, number one, to put all the pettiness aside, and this starts with your own family, which builds up to your clan, which builds up to your tribe, and then affects your nation. And then learn to do that intertribally, and that's where we're really going to make the effect. And I think it's every Indigenous person's responsibility to take it upon themselves to learn their own culture, their own language, their own traditions. Learn them first and know exactly who you are and where you're coming from, your stories, your legends, everything. And then start learning about others, because it's very interesting to me, being a world traveler, to learn as much as I can about other cultures and languages and stuff when I go visit other countries. But I never forget who I am and where I come from and my traditions and culture, because that's what I share with other people. What are your thoughts on that, Doreen?
Yep, I agree. I was just thinking earlier, you talked about, both you talked about, sometimes you're unable to sit down and talk with each other. One of the I guess, structures that we've got in our culture is we have the kaumātua, which is sort of likened to an elder. We have the tuakana, who is the oldest, and then we come down that hierarchy. But each of them have specific traditional values, practices, roles, a role and responsibility within the family, within the sub-tribe, and within our tribe. So I think when we start to learn about ourselves, and then, like my older sister or my younger sister, and my parents and my grandparents, we learn about the role that they play personally. We actually learn how to sit down at a table and talk with each other. And a lot of it's around the basic values of monarchy, of respect, of just valuing the other person. That's what I was thinking about when you were talking, because I honestly believe that if we learn about ourselves and all of those traditions that we're trying to restore, we'll find a way of together as a family and then filter it out.
I remember when you were over here, the time, it was either, can't remember if it was the last time or the time before last, when we went to a powwow in Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
And their chief had this huge lodge put up, and we were invited in. And I'm trying to think of where this was. It was close to, it was 30 miles west of Elizabethtown, Kentucky.
Yeah.
And we came in, and and I was asked to speak, so I started speaking, and I was just hitting all the rough spots, and then I would kind of bring it up a little bit, and Doreen was just getting nervous in there because old way, when you get up to speak, you get real serious, and then you talk about what you know, and then you kind of lighten it up, and you bring it up, give everybody a breather, and then you get right down to it again. That's old way. After it was over, Doreen was saying, "Geez, I was getting scared." She said, "It seemed like you weren't ever coming up."
Yes, put it in context. That was my first time to Turtle Island. First powwow, people I didn't know, and I knew you knew some there, and then being invited into the chief's place, and then being asked to speak. Now I understood that for you. My concern for me was traditionally our women would sing a song after our men. See?
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing that Mashu did was he just highlighted all the issues at the time. Just bang, 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 one after the other. And because all of this was new to me, so it just took me by surprise, being stuck out in the country in Kentucky on a completely different continent.
It was like a different continent, a different iwi, a different people. And to me, I felt right at home. I was just, part of my role when our people gather is to do that. And then I never knew when I was going to see these people again, And with us, our country is so vast, and you take advantage of a situation when you have people like that gathered to get your points across, because they then will travel to some other functions, and then the word will pass like that. So I was trying to make the best of a good situation, and it wasn't until after it was over she was telling me about it. I tried to look serious, but I thought it was kind of funny.
Yes, you would.
What do you think, Twodog?
Well, when Doreen, when you came here and sat with me, and then we went to the powwow in Cookeville, Tennessee.
Yeah.
It was Crossville, Tennessee. I take that back.
Yeah.
It was a much just a beautiful time with us all. That it rained. They had one good dance day, and it rained a couple of days in between, but we felt quite at ease with each other, and we were talking very, very well, and that way we throughout that becomes that unity basis that I've been talking about.
Yeah, and it was that powwow in Tennessee when we went to that, but a lot of it was you. I think you set the scene. You made us feel absolutely welcome. You certainly made me feel welcome. Because I know every time I'm out of my country, that I just know instinctively that I carry my ancestors, my family, my name with me. And you made us all feel at home. So thank you very much for that. That was such an awesome powwow.
Thank you for coming, my sister, because you have been nothing but a sister to me since I met you. And you are a good dignitary for your people, and we were honored to sit with you.
Very good. I think we have a caller here. I'm going to pull them in. Hello, welcome to to Indigenous Voice. Is anyone there? Okay, guess not.
Did you miss the call?
Well, we are just learning the switchboard, and this is our second show, so I thought I had a caller, but maybe I didn't.
Well, maybe you ought to give out that number one more time, Mashu.
Okay. The call-in number is area code 718-506-1564. Again, that's area code 718-506-1564.
Oh. I'll call back.
Okay.
Mashu?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. You've just gone quiet.
I'm looking at a couple of different things here, trying to figure out what I'm doing. It's okay. We will survive.
I'll right now. Bye. Hey, Dog, at Tennessee Powwow, just if you're able to share some of the stories around it, we were invited to be round the circle when they were, I think it was naming, Mashu. They were naming 2 people. Their names. Do you want to talk a little bit? Do you know a little bit about that ceremony?
It was a naming ceremony, wasn't it, Doreen?
Yeah, a young couple.
Well, what it usually is, as far as naming ceremony, you think about you pray for a name for a person. You don't just give it, and if that name comes to you to be given to another person, you ask that person if he'll accept that name. He or she will accept that name, and if they do not, of course, you can go back and pray about it again. Or if they do accept this name, then the name will be given. And if they did it in a powwow, that's a good thing. That's a good thing, for people to see and visualize. Don't you think, Mashu?
I think it's good for people to witness that, but I also have to add to that the way our family got their names was nothing like that. Every tribe has their own way, even in the naming of the children. And I know with us, our names came from our clan, and also they're usually have been the names of our ancestors who have taken their journey, because we were told you never have 2 people with the same name in life. So that's the way that's done, and I know there's several tribes that do it that way. A lot of people, at least in our tribe today, because we've had to hide who we are, don't know their clans anymore, and they don't know their lineage that well. So this has been a problem with a lot of our Cherokee people in the southeast. So, and there's some very sincere people that have been trying to trace their genealogy, and it's really hard for a lot of people, to do that. And I've seen it done like what you're talking about, Twodogs. I've also know that in other tribes, like I want to say the Lakota, that usually give a name at birth and then they change their name. They go through ceremony to change it when they become an adult. And so
some in warrior situation too, it would be changed in a good war, a wartime situation. He did something good in that battle or whatever. They come back and a renaming ceremony would be done for that warrior.
Yes. And then again, like I said, this varies differently from tribe to tribe, and this is one mistake that most people who are not familiar with indigenous cultures at all, they think that we're all alike, we all speak the same language, we all dress alike, we think alike, and believe me, there is nothing further from the truth. Every culture has its own way of doing things, has its own language, has its own set of traditions and protocol in ceremony, and this is one of the things that I, as a lecturer, try to bring out when I talk about our indigenous peoples, because that's a very strong misconception. They lump us all together, and that's just impossible to do with our people.
Well, it has a lot to do with, say, the old Western films, okay, where they have Apaches dressed up as Lakota, or just throwing out some mumbo jumbo language and saying it's Lakota or it's a Cherokee or whatever, when it wasn't. And they made us look like Hollywood made us look like complete idiots.
Well, you know, Two Dogs, I've seen movies where they were actually speaking Filipino, the native people were, and they've had every ethnic playing our indigenous people instead of our indigenous people. And we have many renowned indigenous actors today. But there was federal law that was passed, I want to say, approximately 10 years ago. I could be wrong on that. That is a federal law now. If you do anything on indigenous culture, you have, whatever tribe you're working with, you have consultants that come in, whatever the movie is, and you make sure the language is spoken correctly, the traditions are portrayed correctly, and
right.
Everything that you're telling about these people have to be accurate and correct. And so this is one thing that the government did in a positive way for our people, to make sure that our history is portrayed correctly, especially on the screen, because that's where a lot of people get their opinions of our people, you know, and our culture.
Exactly.
So I see one good thing that came out of it.
It went right back to, say, Dances with Wolves or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Whichever nation that is being portrayed, you have the traditional people that know the language and knows the culture to be able to portray that nation in the right way. Yeah, you're right.
What was really funny is in Dances with Wolves, we went to see that, and we were just kind of laughing because my late wife was Ho-Chunk, or in English, Winnebago from Wisconsin. And this also happened when the movie Windwalker came out. We went to see that, and they thought we were part of the promotional for that because we dressed traditional all the time. And we were sitting there laughing because my late wife being Ho-Chunk, we could understand a little bit of the Lakota language. And the same thing happened with Dances with Wolves, and all the men and everybody were speaking Lakota like women. And I found out that a lot of the natives that played in that were not Lakota, and their language teacher was a woman named Dorothy Leadercharge. So she, being a woman, would naturally be telling them how to speak properly, but as a woman. So it was kind of funny to know what little we did know and realize that all these big warriors were coming on and being brave and talking like women, and we thought that was hilarious. And we would start laughing, you know, to ourselves, and then people around us were looking at us like, okay, what do they know that we don't?
I know.
And then again, our humor is different than what most people's are. So we'll be laughing about something that happens, and then they give us that look, you know. But it's just a cultural thing.
Yeah, we have what I call we have the most warped sense of humor of any culture that I know.
Well, I don't think I'd go that far because I've heard a lot of humor in other cultures. I think we're okay. It's just I think ours is more of an innocent type of humor. I mean, we can make a joke, or we can find the humor in the smallest of things.
We can find the humor in anything.
Yes.
Almost.
And if you try to tell an Indian joke to a non-Indian person, they usually don't get it, and we'll be just laughing our guts off, and they'll just like, what?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Mashu, one of the reasons I think sorry.
Go ahead, Doreen.
One of the reasons I think Mashu, both of you actually, got on so well with our people was because we know our Indigenous humour.
Yes.
And we know how to fire it straight back.
Yeah.
And it's always been in a good way. And you can't do that with non-Indigenous people. You can't.
That's what I found so interesting, is that no matter what Indigenous group of people that I've encountered in my travels, and no matter what country, our Indigenous humor is pretty much the same. And I found that to be very interesting.
Well, you know why, though, don't you?
Well, it's because we've had to learn to laugh at ourselves through all this nonsense that's been going on, and if we hadn't, we wouldn't be here.
Right, and it's happened to all of us.
Yes.
And people. So, yeah, and then it still comes back down to that colonisation and that whole process, which happened to all of us. We were amongst the last, so, you know, we watched it happen to others, but same thing happened to us, just faster by the time it got to us. Faster and fresher, it's still fresher on our minds.
Well, you know, with us, it was a lot in the old days was, you know, as far as when the invasion happened here, it was Bible in one hand, a gun in the other. You either do as we tell you to do, cut your hair, or whatever. If you don't do what we ask you, we shoot you. It's just that simple, many ways.
I know, horrible. That was just the way it was here. I know, and that was
the way it was here.
5 centuries?
Almost 600 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, and like I've said before, I think it's important that our people know this history. You know, I don't think it's healthy to dwell in it and to grovel in it, but it's important that we know who we are and where we come from and learn from that to deal with today's present situation. And unfortunately, we have a lot of the same things still going on in today's world. It's just in a different way. And I know all three of us have talked about this before on previous radio programs of the continued genocide. It's just done in different ways today. But we take that knowledge from our history, deal with it today, and hopefully we can prepare our generations to come with solutions where they won't have to deal with that. Because out of everything that's bad, I feel you find a positive solution and a positive outcome from it. Maybe not to what you had hoped, but you can always make it better.
Exactly, because what I want and what I fight for is not just my daughter, but 6 generations up from her. You know, 7 generations up.
Exactly.
Because I want them to have better than what I had in my time.
Yeah.
And not only that, Twodog, but we tend to take it as Indigenous people further than that. Not only for our children, for their lives to be better, but also we are so connected with every living thing around us traditionally that we want the earth. We are caretakers of the earth. And I don't know of a single tribe that doesn't believe that and our connection with our earth mother. So we've always tried to make the earth be much better when, you know, by the time our lifetime is done than when we came into the world. Where it's a better place for our children and our grandchildren and their children and grandchildren and so forth. And with what's going on in the world today with these corporate-owned governments, and the killing of our earth with this fracking and tar sands, and now this stupid XKL pipeline that's going to destroy even more of our country. It's making our job next to impossible to do because it's destroying everything. And we've all talked about this a lot on our show, but yet we're still out there trying to do it.
Well, I'm this way, Mashu. Until I go to my Earth Mother, you know, when my time is over, and I take my journey, I'm going to continue to fight because, you know, I'm fighting for my daughter, your kids, everybody's kids. We're fighting for everybody's kids now because we're all on the res here. And it's a constant fight. And, you know, as long as I got breath in my body, I'm going to fight.
Well, see, unfortunately for the world today, especially here on Turtle Island, I think most people that live here in North America are now getting a taste within the last few years of what our indigenous people have been living with for several hundred years since European migration. Because of the greater culture, and I'm saying this knowing that we have a lot of good supporters who are not indigenous, but still a lot of the non-indigenous people whom we are also fighting for don't understand this connection. They don't understand that we're trying to have an earth for our descendants to live on. It seems like most people who are especially in corporate businesses and want their money now, and they want to have all of their luxuries right now, and there's no concern about what comes to them, what about their children. And I see that as being the one big main difference between indigenous cultures and non-indigenous cultures. But in saying that, I have to applaud all of the non-indigenous people that are coming on board with us, people who have the same concerns that we do, and there's thousands of them. We just need more, you know, in order to save the earth.
I hold them in honor as well. I hold them in very much honor as well, Mashu. But you have to look at the way of this country in itself. It's based on fear, and once you start fearing, we start losing the connection. If we lose our connection to our mother and to everything that flies, walks, and crawls, within that fear factor is where we lose that connection.
Yes.
There's the focus.
And that's something that has to be retaught to our people.
Yes, it does. It has to be retaught. Because in today's society, you have a programming. It's that, you know, if you look at that boob tube or whatever you want to, we call it an idiot box, as far as the TV. Every little thing that pops up there, every little commercial, every little show, whatever they do, it's a programming. And what I've been trying to do is deprogram the program. It's what we try to do is deprogram the program. How we go about it is through radio shows like yours and ours, Mashu, Doreen. It's from radio shows like ours, mine and Tracy's, and yours and Mashu's.
Exactly.
And it might be good.
Deprogram. Go ahead, Doreen.
I agree totally. Like shows like this one, like your one, the education programs that everyone around the world, I know they're doing it in Australia. We're certainly running programs throughout our country, different groups, and I know you'll be doing it over there in Turtle Island. I think Canada also has education programs for Indigenous people.
Canada, excellent programming.
You know, get us back to how we're meant to think. But I was just thinking earlier, Mashu, you were talking about non-Indigenous as well. And just thinking about Two Feathers International, although our focus is tribes helping tribes, so it's for Indigenous by Indigenous, what we've seen over here is once we learn about ourselves and can stand tall with our own culture, our own language, and our own way of doing things, we can better work with non-Indigenous, and it works well together because we each know our role within the community or within the wider country. And we can both work together, sort of like partnership on what each of us can contribute to the bigger picture.
But your people are also better at doing that because they've had this where they know who they are now, and they're learning who they are, and they're going out with more confidence, which is enabling this program that you're talking about, working with non-Indigenous even more successful.
That's right, because both of us will know our roles. We know what we want, and we've both got our eye on the 8 ball, which is the goal, the purpose of why we need to work together in the first place. And at the moment, if we just look at the decolonisation programs that we're going to be running here and over in Turtle Island, it isn't our role. Well, this is me talking now. I don't believe it's our role to teach non-Indigenous. I think we take alongside with us non-Indigenous people that are supportive and give that role to them to teach non-Indigenous about colonisation and all the process and the effects and the impact. Yes, that's what I think will happen. We've seen it happen here for Indigenous and non-Indigenous. But our focus at the moment is teaching our Indigenous people to become the trainers, to become the teachers. The more you share, the more it's going to get out there, the messages.
And I also think another result of that is when we have our own people more confident in where they're coming from and going and lecturing, about our people and our history, I think you'll start seeing, hopefully, where the history books are being rewritten and the actual truth of the history is being told, as opposed to the nonsense and the lies that are in our history book today. And I think this is in every country.
That's true, Mashu. Because to be honest with you, excuse me again, but to be honest with you, that's one of the reasons I got thrown out of school in the first place, with the lie of the history book.
Yeah, I've had my run-ins with that as well. I was a very vocal child when it came to anything Indigenous, and I would tell them if it wasn't true, and of course they didn't want to hear that. And that's even today with my grandchildren and my nieces and nephews. They came home and, when I was in Alabama, my nieces and nephews came home and said, "Well, we learned about Native history today." "Oh, really? What did you learn?" "Well, if it wasn't for the Pilgrims, our people would have died out." And I went, "What?" It's just the other way around. And this is what's being taught in public schools, and it's wrong. That history is a lie. And
I hate to tell them, but that was the other way around, as far as that point came.
Our Indigenous people here were the first people in this country to ever start welfare, and it's not acknowledged.
Well, we had a young Cherokee that was going to school, and she didn't know anything about her ancestor, which was actually Geronimo. And she asked her teacher, if she could teach a little bit about Geronimo. And she says, the teacher said, "Oh, that's ancient history. What you need to know is George Washington." Well, isn't that a little bit more ancient?
Well, what I've noticed, Twodog, is that most of America now engulfs our Indigenous history and they've taken it as part of their own history, but they're not getting it right.
That's true. Yeah, it's true. That's very true. There's where the misconception of us. We all look like Lakotas, which we don't all look like that, but we are just as different, looking in culture as anyone else in many ways.
The thing that is funny, we have we've stated this before. Every culture has its own distinct culture and ways of doing things, and that includes tribal attire and dress. Every tribe has their own cut of moccasin, their own cut of leggings. The women have their own style of dress, and these are things that we were brought up as children. Fortunate for those of us who were, because there's a lot of our own people who did not have that luxury because of today's world. And then we go to a powwow. I remember sitting with elders, and they'll see someone out there that has, maybe Lakota moccasins and sack and fox leggings, Ho-Chunk bandolier bags, different things, and these are things that they think look really good together, but they're a mismatch of different tribal things. So I heard that some of the elders just, in a joking way, not meaning to hurt anybody, but they just go, "Oh, we got a Goodwill Indian here,"
Yeah.
Which means, in other words, they need to learn their own way of dressing, because that's how you perpetuate the culture, by doing that. It's like we as Cherokee people, we have our basic style of moccasin, our basic style of leggings and stuff, and now you either wear a period shirt. That's where most of our culture shows, and everything that we show ancestrally is from like the 1700s on, and I don't know why it doesn't go back further than that. Or we have most tribes have their own design for ribbon shirts, and so that is what perpetuates. You can usually tell what tribe a person is old way by the cut of their moccasins, by the way they wore their hair, by the ribbon work design. That would tell what tribe they were from or what area they were from, and even by the beadwork. Sometimes even by the smell, because everything that you have from your people comes from your general locale. Now it's not so easy anymore, because a lot of people don't dress their tribal attire, but they dress according to the style of dance that they do. So, that's another thing, unless you really know them.
Very true.
I know. I'm Eastern Band Cherokee, and I dance Southern Straight Dance. So even though I do that style of dance, I don't dress like they would out in Oklahoma. I dress still Cherokee. I just add things to make it as close as I can to our culture that would represent our own people.
That's an honor in itself.
Yeah.
Try to keep it in that way, and at the same time have a real good time. Because for people who are listening and don't know what a powwow is to begin with, the powwow was originally a white man thing, but our people kind of took it over, where every community that has one has kind of made their own traditions and powwow etiquette or protocol for their areas. And it's basically now a place where our people come. All tribes are usually intertribal, and we barter, we trade, we do ceremonies, because we have all of our family and friends, maybe people we haven't seen in anywhere from 5 to 15 and 20 years. We do our games sometimes. I know for our Cherokee, the one thing that we always like is the trade blanket, towards the end of the day and things like that. And it's just a good gathering of people, sharing. And then the powwow ground, at least the way I was brought up, is always a neutral ground. There's no politics or drama around that. If you have a grievance against anyone, you leave that off the ground, because the grounds are blessed. Not only the circle where you're dancing, but the grounds themselves are blessed. And so if you want to pick that up when you leave the gathering of the people, then that's your business. But all of that stays away. All that stays away.
Matter of fact, as far as trade blanket, if you remember it, the powwow that we were at. I did a good trade as far as getting a turtle shell purse for my wife. I traded very well for that.
That shell was big too. It could have been used as a shield, and boy, your woman just took it and said, "That's my purse." And like if you tried to grab it, you were going to be hurting.
Yeah, I was looking at it and I'm like, I could make a good shield out of that. She said, "Nope, that's mine." Well, it's hers.
Yeah, that would have brought you through many battles, eh?
Well, I won that battle by letting her have it.
yeah, that would have been the big battle. You got through that one pretty slick.
I'm not a dummy.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's about 9 o'clock Central Time, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We are going to take a break right now, and we will return shortly.
Maranga Join us on Just Us Radio Network for our shows Inflowment, Imagineers, Numbers in Time, the Indigenous People's Voice, One Point of View, and the People's Round Table. Check out our website for information about upcoming shows. Just ask Google to find Just Us Radio Network and you will find links to our website and to our blog talk and Facebook pages, as well as to our podcast where you can subscribe for automatic downloads.
Okay, we are back. I thought Doreen was going to bring us back in. The song that you heard during the break was a Napuhi song that was a northern tribe of the Maori people, written by Piripi Cope, who was my adopted brother. And that song, Pau o Napuhi, has become like their tribal anthem, like what we would call a flag song here. And
very good.
Go ahead, Doreen. You were going to say something.
Aroha mai, sorry, Mashu. And welcome back, everyone, and to you, Twodog. I just in relation to that song, that waiata. It was written by Piripi Cope, who is from the Ngāpuhi tribe, the top of the North Island in our country. And it was written at a time when we were struggling with our language. And the song talks about, as a people, for a tribe, Ngāpuhi, stand up and listen to the messages. We need to relearn our language, our traditions, our practices. That's what the song, why he wrote it. Plus, he wanted to have a unique song that highlighted his tribe. Well, your tribe, really, Mashu. You were adopted by Ngāpuhi. And it's a beautiful, beautiful waiata, beautiful song, which is known throughout the whole country, as well as Cherokee, who was the writer of that song. He was a educationalist. He was very high in the ministry, and although he's been passed, I think, for the past 10 years, he actually did a lot of good in the education sector for Maori people as a whole. So his waiata has got a lot of history behind it, and it talks a lot about him, his family, and his tribe. Yeah. I thought I'd just add that, Mashu.
Yeah. Very good. Yeah, Piripi had come over to Turtle Island many times, and my children grew up. He was their favorite uncle. He was a very humble man with one of the greatest sense of humor I've ever seen a human have, and he was one of the most delightful people, but very educated, and he put his people always first. And he did everything he could to make sure that the language survived, and he had his own culture groups and things. He was very invested in the Maori people, and especially the Ngāpuhi.
Very good.
Mashu?
Yes. Am I supposed to be carrying the ball here? Twodog, what have you been doing lately over there in Kentucky? I know you've made a move to a different location, and you've got lots of surrounding lands there, and and you're broadcasting the part of the show from there. So what do you got lined up for what you're doing?
Well, what we're doing right now, we're getting the land set up for council fire, circle fire with my 5 clans that we got, plus anybody else that we are, our dignitaries, like from the Tuscarora Nation, and we have different organizations, native organizations that we're unified with, plus the Cree Nation over in Canada that hopefully we'll be able to talk with more here. And right now I got things like raccoons sleeping on my back porch, which I humbly tell them to come on. We got deer running everywhere out here, a golden eagle that flies around my window, hawks, red foxes running through my front yard, and of course coyotes. But we're just pretty much in nature down here.
Good. We have a caller I'm going to take right now. Osio, and welcome to the show.
He claims, I don't know, Jacqueline's asked him a couple times. He claims it's never ready. I don't know.
Hello? Hello?
Hello, what was that?
Maybe we've lost our caller.
I heard something a minute ago.
Yeah, I heard something, but I don't hear anything anymore. Okay.
I know we had it.
Maybe they'll call back.
Well, that's the, getting the land ready, and also we're going to have a garden out here. We're bringing actually chickens out here to be kind of self-sufficient and to, be able not to go to town quite as often as we do, and just to be one with nature and with the earth out here.
Nice.
That's good. Trying to become more self-sufficient, are you?
Yeah, we're trying to be more self-sufficient with, garden from the earth and dealing with fresh eggs instead of having to go to town and get them store-bought ones, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. And just be a little bit more with the land the way we're supposed to be.
Nice. I can't wait to come by you, Twodog, this year.
Well, Doreen, when you first come, and, we were so honored to have you. You're a great dignitary to the Maori people. And we celebrated powwow with each other. And we just had a great time, and I can't wait to see you again.
Is our caller here? Hello?
Yes, hello?
Hello.
Can you hear me? Evening, my name is Kate. I'm in South Dakota. I guess I didn't realize that we were unmuted. And this whole Six Nations history that lies so deep within us all, that we long for, I only have my personal stories to share, and I'm so appreciative to listen to you all. Thank you. Apologies for not realizing the line was open.
Oh, yeah, and you are from where? Did you say South Dakota?
Right, yeah, I'm in the heart of Turtle Island.
Oh, wow, out there in Lakota country.
Yeah, 8 miles from Matopaha.
Oh,
yeah.
Geez. I've been out that way before. It's beautiful country out there.
Mm-hmm.
Are you Lakota?
Well, what are we in? What are any of us? I feel like, they say if you go back 4 generations, we are all so interrelated. If you look at the mitochondrial DNA, it doesn't matter if I'm a blade of grass, a dolphin, a human. You need to make this transition.
I'm trying to think of anything I can say in Lakota, but I'm not fluent at all. I'm doing good to speak my own language.
Mashu, can I say hello to her?
Yes, you may.
How mi winyan, Lilo Stay. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Wupala.
Wastay, Mikola.
Wastay. Well, I'm glad you called in.
It's all about merging into one path. Many colors, many roads. Many colors, one road now. We walk in beauty, wherever you're from, whatever.
And I agree with you 100% on that, but I think it's also important at the same time to know your own culture so you know where you're coming from, but to work together in unity.
Nice. But you know what? Some of us are gypsies and orphans, and we really are our own people, and that's how we are.
Yes.
I claim no... Unfortunately, I'm spiritually bankrupt. I'm this gypsy that just kind of said, well, it's and Laura Eisenhower is on it this hour as well, All I know is that spirit is big. And whether you call it a cosmic Christ or the creator or the sacred hoop, makes no difference to me. All I know is that we're coming together in a new understanding where compassion is the legal tender. That the words of the Lakota elder that said, we don't seek your material wealth, we seek peace and love. So give us wisdom to teach our children to learn how to love and how to respect, how to be kind to one another, so that we can grow with peace of mind.
Or we say,
absolutely.
My name's Doreen, and I'm an Aotearoa. So it's just lovely hearing you say that, because I believe that too, and we're halfway around the world, that we can come together for the right reasons, with love, respect, and honour for each other, and that's what I'm hearing you. So kia ora for that.
Very good. Thank you so much for calling in with that message tonight.
It was an honor.
Did we get her name, Mashu?
I did not get her name.
Okay.
May we have your name?
Oh.
You can call me Clover Kate. I'm Clover Kate here in South Dakota. A lot of people know me as South Dakota Kate.
Dakota Kate. I like that.
Yeah, I'm Red Clover on the social network. Red Clover's a potent blood purifier. And I so align with her. I know that this is a Mohawk. I guess what I feel is the roots of the Six Nations are so deep within this call. And I've recently met a young man who lives in Montreal, who has interfaced with these Cherokee elders, and he tells me now we all live in this new nation, and it's called the Imagine Nation. It's something that we all share, and so I imagine, I know that the heart of humanity is way better than we hear, that we're not about devastating and polluting and poisoning everything in sight. The sacred culture has seen its end. We've seen, let's go back 500 years to the long houses of the Iroquois, of the Huron. Let's go back to Silent Waters and look at, I think the biggest secret of our country is that there was an ancient peace fort named Cayuga in upstate New York, near Lewiston, and it was overseen by a woman, Gionesi, the Queen of Peace. Yes. So we can learn those ways again, though. There's a new book out by a lady named Marcine Quinzer. Marcine was an illustrator, and the Haudenosaunee said, you know what's missing? The balance. No one ever heard the woman's song. And so Marcine was asked to live with the Haudenosaunee and to write the song in stories and pictures. And it's now out. It's called Great Spirit Winds of Peace, the Epoch of the Spiritual Peacemakers. And let us all learn the great law of peace and remember that, yes, this Constitution was built on the Iroquois foundation, but what we're missing is the making of a man, the simple rules that apply to the making of a man. Thank you for hearing my words tonight. Kate,
Thank you
so grateful.
for sharing them. Thank you for sharing them, Ski.
Mm.
You have a wonderful evening. Call in anytime.
You're here every Monday.
Yeah, we're here every Monday from 9 to 11 Eastern Standard Time and from 8 to 10 Central Standard Time.
Well, I'm honored to be welcomed into your circle. I pass this talking feather and prefer to listen anyway.
Thank you very much and a good evening to you, my friend.
Likewise.
Well, Mashu, one of the things I would like to do real quick, if it's okay, Mashu.
Sure.
Is to acknowledge the woman, because without her there would be no nations whatsoever. So to all the women around the world that are listening, we thank you, we honor you. You do everything that the Earth Mother does. You clothe, feed, you give birth, and without you, there would be no nations whatsoever. So I bow to all of you.
Oh. She brought up when she was talking, Red Clover was talking, she was acknowledging our Iroquois people in on the eastern coast here, and Two Dogs and I, we are of the Iroquois Nation, and she's very knowledgeable of that, and she was talking about the roots of peace, and that also engulfs our Turo Wampum, and very, very knowledgeable on that. The great peace law came from there.
Yes. Yes,
and,
me being Mohawk, it was good to hear.
Yes. And also, she also mentioned, which is the fact that what most people in this country know as the United States government was founded on our Iroquois government. And
the Confederacy of the Iroquois, yes.
Yes, the elders say that the white man, when he came, he took the coals from our fires to start their fires into what people know today as democracy. Our people were always a democratic people, and women always had their rights, just as equal rights as men with the Iroquois. And the women in our Iroquoian way have the power. They can either make or break a chief. We have our beloved ones. We have our clan mothers. Everything goes through the women with our people, the Iroquois. So it was good to hear you talk, Red Clover. Thank you again for calling in. Doreen, do you have anything you'd like to add to that?
No. No, you say your history very well. I did hear who mentioned the Six Nations, though.
Excuse me?
I heard who mentioned the Six Nations.
Yes.
Who are they, Matthew?
I don't remember all of the names, but I know our people are part of that Six Nations. There's really 7 tribes as opposed to the 6 that are recognized in the history book. But there are the Mohawk, the Seneca, the Tuscarora, the Catawba, can you help me, Two Dogs?
Well, you bet on it.
That means no.
No, I can't exactly say all of them right now. I'll have to take another good look about it. But you've hit several.
Yeah, I think I'm a couple, and then there's Cherokee. There's two I can't remember right off. But those are the people that came together that make up the Iroquois people or the Iroquois nation. And the Mohawk is a cousin tribe to our Chalagi or Cherokee people. And one time we used to go as far north as where the Iroquois had their longhouses, and we would stay in camp with them up there by them and the Wyandotte. And then, but our home place has always been in the Smoky Mountains, our Cherokee people, prior to the removal by that traitor Andy Jackson.
You cuss.
1830s. So prior to that, all of our people were in the southeast. What was that, Twodog?
Oh, you cuss, brother. When you mentioned
that name, I would be struck by lightning. But
so what period are we talking about?
I would like. Go ahead, Doreen. I'll do this afterwards.
I was just wondering, the Six Nations. So when was the Six Nations formed? What year?
Oh, this was before European migration.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
There is one thing I would like to let the people know that are listening also. For the 5 civilized tribes, according to them, Tennessee has now, what they have said was they gave apology for the Trail of Tears. But the apology now, that's a little bit since 1830, I think 1836, something like that, Mashu. But
okay.
They have made a complete apology for the Trail of Tears as far as the state of Tennessee. Now, what I'm trying to ask is, okay, you made the apology, for us a little bit of the land back.
You know, as much as I would like to see things like that happen, I think in today's world we're not going to see that. I come from old school thinking, and what I've always tried to do, I've always tried to, in my own way, be a role model for our young kids, you know, as they come up in the world, and for the ones who are able, I've always tried to encourage them to buy back land, and along with non-Indigenous people's terms and their laws in this country, and then that way it's ours legally in anyone's system, and then turn it over once it's paid for to the closest tribe where they live. And that's one way to get our Indigenous land base back. And not everyone can do that, especially in today's world and economy. So, but that's always in the back of my mind, you know. So it's not, our people are not the kind of people that want to own the land and take it back, because in our traditional way we have no conception of ownership. You know, how can we own our mother? How can we own her breath? How can we own her blood? You know, that's the mother that gives us our life. She gives every living thing on this planet life in one way or another.
Right.
And so it's very hard for Indigenous people to think of ownership of land. You know, this was a whole new concept to us when the European people started migrating here. We never had fences and stuff like that. You know, so this is something that we had to learn. And even
well, you know, Crazy Horse himself said, "You cannot own what you walk on; it owns you."
Yep, and you know the thing is, those truths and those things still pertain today, and this is why we remember them, because that to us is the essence, I think, of our people. And there's so much wisdom that has been passed down by these elders that we learn and we still repeat.
Now, with a lot of the situations, we report, between Tracy and I, we report of a lot of wrongness that is happening to our people right now. Like there was a Navajo that got shot by a white individual. They had gotten a fist fight, and then the guy shot him because he said he was afraid for his life, and he just got off scot-free and walked off. But there's a whole lot of things going on.
I just got the names of the tribes I left out. There, the two I couldn't remember was the Oneida and the Onondaga.
Yes.
I lived for 30 years around the Oneida. I don't know why I couldn't remember that one.
Thank you,
Mashu, why was it formed?
Excuse me?
Why was the Six Nations formed?
Because there was always warring between the peoples, and it was formed to come together in unity to stop the warring and to protect each other. It was an alliance, but it's also all of these tribes had the same language base, and it was more of an alliance and a protection of each other back in the day, and it's lasted up until today. And that's where Twodog in my background comes from. Now, he was talking about the 5 civilized tribes and being recognized in Tennessee when these European anthropologists, I think it is, started to divide up our people into different linguistic groups and areas. For some reason, they put our people with another group in the southeast called the 5 civilized tribes. They didn't recognize us as being Iroquois, but we're very much Iroquois, especially linguistically. And so we ended up with what's now called the Cherokee, Choctaw, Chickasaw, Creek, and Seminole, or we say Seminole. And but that's strictly from a non-indigenous history within the last 600 years.
We have been so persecuted in the last 600 years that it's hard for young people to get back within their culture unless the elders can bring them back into it. And we're sitting here now trying to do just that. And I see a fluctuation here in Kentucky and Tanasi, the truthful way of saying Tennessee, Tanasi, that's coming to a conclusion here. The young people are starting to come back and call their grandfathers a grandfather, no matter if they know them or not, grandmother. They're starting to listen.
Very good. Doreen, would you like to tell us about your tribes in Aotearoa?
Well, I'm just listening to the Six Nations and even the five. What did you call them, Twodog?
Oh, the tribes and the nations, as far as nations in general.
I was trying to compare what do we have over here that's similar, and I guess we have in the sort of middle to north of our North Island, Tainui tribe, which have a collective of sub-tribes that come under the Kimitanga, is what they call it. And as a tribal group, they all work together, just like your Six Nations and the other tribes that you're talking about. So we do have something similar in a smaller scale, of course. But apart from them, all our tribes are pretty separate and distinctive. Our boundaries are clear, and they're still clear, even though we don't own the land. It got confiscated. we still know where our tribal boundaries are. I was listening to you earlier, Mashu, about, you know, the only way we can get back our land is maybe we buy it individually.
Mm.
But if you do that, then, you know, who will own it? Will it be that individual, or will it be the tribe or the clan?
The way it's worked here is that if people do that, they can turn it over to the tribe. The land has to be already paid for. You turn it over to the tribe, and you can make stipulations that only your blood and direct descendants have the right to stay on that land. That's the way it is with most tribes I've been around.
Okay, because at the moment over here we're still fighting for the return of our land, what's left of it. We are still fighting for compensation for loss of culture, loss of land, loss of our people. And compensation, the only way this government knows how to do it is money. They're not about to let go of any of the power, you know, for us to govern ourselves. That's not going to happen anytime soon. Maybe with our grandchildren, and it may. But at the moment, what they're offering is money to different tribes as compensation. They're not quite ready yet either, our government, to acknowledge the killing of our people and all the things that have happened in the past. They're not quite ready to acknowledge some of the damage that's done, but they are in discussion to try and some kind of fair compensation, or as they see fair, in the place of land that still haven't given back. We may not get it back. We might get a portion, but I don't think so. Still haven't got back land that churches have claimed and are now using as assets.
And that's basically the same situation as over here, Doreen. The thing is, it's when it's turned over to the tribe, then it falls under the sovereignty of that tribe, and then it's run by tribal government.
But isn't that how it should be? Like, for
That's
us.
exactly the way it should be. But and we have the same problem as Aotearoa. There's so many lands that have been taken away, and most of our tribes, especially in the east, were moved on their own Trail of Tears. Every tribe has their Trail of Tears that was moved over into what is now called Oklahoma, then called Indian Territory, and then everybody was given so many acres to live on, you know, per person and family. And then that started what we call the allotment land, and they were given like a donkey and so many acres for each family member, and that's what is their land. It's still owned by the tribe, but it was like their parcel of the tribe. Whereas in our traditional ways, for most tribes, we knew our territory. Everybody had the use of it, and nobody owned anything. It was just the tribes. But then as tribes got out there and the European people wanted more control, this is what they devised, was the allotment. And we lost thousands and thousands and thousands of acres of our traditional land, you know, during that time, especially during the mid to late 1800s. And so this would be nice. I know there's fights going on to get some of this land back and to be recognized. And just like you said, for the people of Aotearoa, you know, we don't know where that stands right now. But one of the things that we have supporting us is that all of these lands that were taken by according to treaty, and all of our treaties are treaties of benefit. They were never treaties of conquest. And like I said last week, the Treaty of Conquest means they basically say, we have won this battle, and therefore we expect this of you, and we are taking this. A Treaty of Benefit means, okay, we will allow you to do this if you will allow us to do whatever, you know, the parameters are. So all of our treaties have been treaties of benefit and are legally have to be upheld by the Supreme Court, and that's where it stands right now. Our battlefields have gone from like the actual battlefield to the courtroom. That's our current day battlefield.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. That's definitely where it's gone to. I spent like a year in court over a burial ground, so there goes what we used to, stand and do, and then now it's a courtroom. So yeah, that's where I ended up.
Yeah.
I guess though, Mashu, because although because we can't do a comparison of us and what's happening over there, because the population is a huge difference, and even our tribes, how we're formed, is a little bit different.
Yeah.
And we have been battling against our treaty, with our treaty since it was signed, 1840. But today where we're at is the government helped set up a tribunal which acts as the middleman for tribes before it gets to government. And that's sort of where we've been going. We've had about 1, 2, 3, 4 tribes that have been paid out compensation.
Oh, good.
Now, of those tribes, 2 of them have done really well in building the economy for Maori people, and education for Maori people, housing. And it just goes to show, you let us manage what, who we are and what we can do, and we can take on the world. Now, one of the tribes down South Island now have a huge tourism company in place. It's been in place for a little while, the whale watchers, plus a cultural experience which they offer. Now they're making a lot of profit, and that's a worldwide company now. And that's just us utilising our Māori people that have the knowledge and education to take us forward in business in the world today. But again, it comes down to we need the resources to do it. They've been paid out, these particular tribes. We had some tribes that have failed as well. And they've moved us forward. Is that here? Oh, still online?
Yes, I'm still here. I just was told that the tribes in Oklahoma are buying back the land quickly, and I'm thinking that's because a lot of federally recognized tribes have casinos now where they're able to bring in lots of extra revenue, and so I'm assuming this is one of the main ways that the tribes of Oklahoma are being able to buy up more of the land there for their tribal base.
I would. The casino. Is it?
Pardon?
Through the casino. Is that what you said?
The casinos generate a lot of revenue, and when they take in that revenue, they divide it up into different aspects of the tribe. Some goes for elderly care, a certain percentage goes for native housing, another part of it goes for Indian education, another part of it goes for Head Start, another part of it is going for like clinics, and then what's left is divided up into what they call per cap checks, where every enrolled member gets a certain amount every 3 months from the tribe. And so with this money, I'm guessing that a lot of this is a way to help finance the purchase of some of the lands back for the tribal people.
Oh, cool. I guess.
Oh. Well, Mashu, we have also a problem with what you call here in America a thing called pencil genocide that is affected of a lot of our people.
Well, yes, and that's exactly what's happened in Canada, and it's happening. It's going to happen down here as well. It's already started down here.
That's just an overwhelming thing to for say, okay, now the government doesn't have to pay amount to these people because you done cut, you pretty much cut their throat, what you done. As far as the pencil has become a genocide needle.
This is what actually started the Idle No More movement in Canada, or as they call it, Kanakota. Prime Minister Stephen Harper just said, okay, we don't have any more Indigenous people, or they refer to themselves as Aborigine or Aboriginals, and they wrote off that there were no more Indians or Métis, and which nullified their treaty rights, their water rights, their natural resource rights, and all of that. And this is what actually started by 4 women, the Idle No More movement. And,
right.
And I've said this from the beginning. What starts in one place, especially on Turtle Island here, with our Indigenous people, it's going to spread, and it's going to spread to where it's all over the world. And that's exactly what has happened. Here on the lower part of Turtle Island, or the middle part of Turtle Island, we've seen where some of our own tribes have gotten a little greedy, and they're actually putting people off of the enrollments that have been on the tribal enrollments since its inception.
Generations.
Yes, generations, and because of this thing called greed, they're looking through and they're taking people off some of the tribal enrollments, and that's not right. That's taking away a person's identity. And this is where non-Indigenous thinking has been messed with, because we would traditionally never do that to our people. And so these are the things that we're dealing with in today's world, and still, this is why it's so important, I think, for programs like the ones that Doreen and I are hoping to use to work with people, to get our people back to our Indigenous way of thinking, so we're not doing this to our own people. We need to be supportive and help our people to progress in today's world, to be successful in today's world, but still know who we are. I noticed we've got about 10 or 12 minutes left for the show, and I think it would probably be a good time to have people's thoughts here, and if there's anything else you want to bring up, before we close the show tonight. How does that sound to you?
Okay. I'll go, please.
Okay, that's wonderful. I was going to ask you to go first.
Mihi aroha ki a koe, Twodog. My love and respect to you, Twodog, and thank you so much for being a part of our show and our first guest. And Tracy, please give it our love to Tracy. And my message, I guess, just listening to how we've been talking tonight, goes out to all the Indigenous people that are listening, that are out there, that are still searching for who they are. One of the methods we end our presentation with is just a nice short one. Healing doesn't mean the damage never existed. It means the damage no longer controls our lives. So just a little short message to everyone out there, and to Chinley, Sheila and Jerry, Nami, Aki, thank you all.
Oh, okay. Twodog.
Oh, one of the things I'd like to do is, number one, I wanted to give my thanks to Doreen Bennett from the Maori people. You become my heart. Your peoples have become my heart. And one of the things I would like to do is to make sure that people around the world understand that we're all in this boat. It's time we start rowing and rowing together, or we're all going to float in this. We're going to sink in this time. The thing about it is unity is what I've been fighting for almost 52 years. And until unity becomes and we close the fist instead of leaving the hand wide open, we will then, and only then, when we close this fist of unity, is when we'll walk together. And for that, I leave it to you, Mashu.
Ski, Udo, ski. Yes, that's exactly true. I've seen in today's world where people are searching for their identity and they come looking, and even amongst their own people, if you're not a card-holding native, they will point at you and shun you away, and that's not right. You know, these people have their birthright to know who they are and to know ceremony and language, and it's not like it used to be. This is one of the changes our people have to, a bad trait that we have to get rid of, and you know, we need to do a lot of work on this ourselves. And for all Indigenous people and non-Indigenous people that are listening out around the world, I'd like to say thank you for tuning in tonight, and we hope to have a good assortment of guests that come on the show and share their ideas and views with us. Thank you so much for the call-in we had tonight. Next week, our guest is supposed to be Tim Nuttall. He is Cherokee, and one of the projects he is working on right now is a new Cherokee to English dictionary, and so we want to find out more about that and whatever other issues and news topics come on during the show. I don't think there's Doreen, do you have anything else to add? I know you're looking for people from over there to come on.
Mashu, you keep fading out, Mashu.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We certainly will have a couple as soon as we can confirm them. Some people from over here. Carl Hutchbury will be one. He sits on he's Maori from Wanganui, where I'm from, and he sits on the Indigenous Peoples Permanent Forum. So he'll be in New York this year in May. So we'll have a chance to talk to him before he goes.
And maybe we can have him on while he's here.
That's right.
It could tell.
Yeah. Find out if there's any progress being made up on the higher level and echelons there.
Right, and then we have got some elders as well from over there that I want to bring on to the show. And it's always lovely listening to our kaumātua, our elders, share their messages and share their life stories.
Yes, I think that's very interesting. I love to hear stories from, especially from our elders. And at my age, I don't have that many elders left. So I grab on to any story I can hear now.
I know just a few myself.
Well, I think if there's not any other topics, I think we might as well just go ahead and close for the evening. And again, I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in, and we'll close out with some good music for everyone to listen to. Thank you all for tuning in. Sonoyo sa ilidona.
Way